Daredevil Born Again episode 6 has just aired, so let's talk about some of the best Easter eggs I noticed in the last 3 episodes. And obviously, spoilers for the last 3 episodes of Daredevil, so like this video and come back later if you have not seen them yet. First up, in episode 4, Dex enters the diner and he phones the AVTF hotline and says that he thinks the Punisher has just walked through the doors. And this is less of a comic book Easter egg because that specific thing has never happened in the comics as far as I know, but it is still a Easter egg and a reference to the wider MCU and previous seasons of Daredevil where Punisher has starred. And also it was just a nice reference to Frank himself, because obviously Frank is not in this series because John Bernthal was busy actually filming Punisher, One Last Kill and Spider-Man Brand New Day. After Dex has phoned the AVTF and they arrive and he's taken a whole bunch of them out, he actually leaves the Bullseye logo on the doors spray painted in ketchup, which obviously can look a little bit bloody as well, which really fits with who Bullseye is as a character. But I really like the fact that Dex is actually leaning into the Bullseye name by obviously putting the logo on his suit and then also on these doors as a kind of calling card. Later in the episode we also see Matt as Daredevil talking to Angela Del Toro and asking her if she's ready to take on the mantle of the White Tiger. And this is obviously something that we knew was coming anyway, but it is also a really nice nod to the comics because Angela is actually the second White Tiger who takes over after her uncle Hector is murdered. And then at the end of episode 4, what we all expected to happen happened, and Vanessa Fisk was murdered, which is actually reflective of the comics itself. Because in the comics, Vanessa has died 3 times. The first time round she died because of a terminal illness, then she was brought back by the Hand and sent to kill Fisk, and Fisk ended up killing her instead. And then the third time round she was cloned and Fisk killed that clone. And obviously this is very reflective of the TV show in the sense that she has died and Fisk had a hand in it. Obviously the circumstances in the TV show are very different because Fisk ends up shattering that glass statue that was aiming for him that then landed in Vanessa, which led to her death, which is more accidental compared to what happens in the comics, but it is still very much Fisk is at fault for Vanessa's death. And then the final one for episode 4 is potentially my favourite, and that is the Watcher appearing. This was very blink and you'll miss it, but as you can see in the outline of the glass that has been broken by Matt and Dex, you can actually see the Watcher's face, marking the first time the Watcher has appeared in live action since Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Then if we move into episode 5, the first thing I need to mention is the return of Wesley, a character we have not seen since Daredevil season 1, but he is also actually a reference to the comics, because in the comics Wesley is Wilson Fisk's right hand man. He does very much the same thing as we see in the TV show, only in the comics he doesn't actually die and is still with Fisk to this day. And I could not mention the returns without not mentioning Foggy as well here, because Foggy returns via flashback. Now, don't get me wrong, I am still absolutely convinced that Foggy is still alive and we're going to be seeing a Secret Life of Foggy Nelson situation, which is an entirely different video that I will be doing later on. But right now, I just want to focus on the fact that Foggy was back for this episode, and it was wonderful to see him again, because Matt and Foggy's relationship very much is the heart of this show, and in a lot of ways is the heart of the comics as well. Because in the comics, Foggy is still Matt's best friend and business partner, but he is also a character that really pushes Matt and argues back with him and everything else, and it is such a wonderful relationship to see, and a wonderfully complex relationship we get to see in the comics that is also reflected in the TV show, and it's one that I have dearly missed over the last season, and I am just begging that Foggy is going to be back again in some form or other by the end of this series. And then finally for this episode we have the second death, or the actual death I should say, of Vanessa, and again by Wilson Fisk's hands. In the comics, like I said, he has killed her deliberately twice, but in the TV show it looks like he's going to have accidentally led to her death twice now. The first time with the broken glass, and then this time with the pineapple juice that she was allergic to. So even though the circumstances are different and the intentions are different, it is still very reflective of the comics in the sense that Fisk has killed Vanessa twice. Then moving into episode 6 now, and the big character return happened this episode that we have all been waiting for, and that is the return of Jessica Jones. This episode opens on a suburban house and seeing a little girl with an unidentified mother walking around, and then plainclothes AVTF agents attack them, and after the fight we see that it's actually Jessica herself, marking her first return to the MCU in what, 7 or 8 years since Jessica Jones was cancelled. But what was even more interesting about Jessica's return was that little girl, because that little girl is a very, very important character to Luke and Jessica within the comics. Because that little girl is Luke and Jessica's daughter, Danielle Cage. We don't actually see Luke throughout this episode, but because her name is Danielle, all but confirms that she is Luke and Jessica's child from the comics. Then later in the episode, when Matt and Jessica are going after the warehouse full of weapons, we see this Ox logo on the side of one of the boxes. And Ox is obviously the company owned by Valentina that we see throughout Thunderbolts, once again confirming that Valentina is actually arming the AVTF and helping out Fisk. Then at the end of the episode, when Matt and Fisk meet up for the first time this series, there are 2 amazing references to the comics and comic book artists. The first one is this one here, which is actually a reference to a piece commissioned by Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio for Philip Silvera. The original painting is done by Alex Maleev, and as you can see, it is a very, very similar shot with the Daredevil shadow across Wilson Fisk's face. And then finally, we also have this shot here of Daredevil kneeing Fisk in the face, which is a direct reference to this Devil's Reign comic cover. And that is all of the Easter eggs and references I saw in episodes 4 through 6 of Daredevil Born Again Series 2. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me if I missed any. I would love to know so I can add them to my list. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a devil emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics if you want more Daredevil information, or if you just want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe. But until next time everyone, bye!